Hello grapplers! Today we're gonna talk about something that has been asked for a while. I think it is my most requested video, at least at the moment, which is how to keep the pressure in the corner with Zangief. We're gonna divide this video into three parts. What can you do after Lariat, which is basically the most integral part of all of this. What to do after buttons, obviously on block and hit. And finally grabs. Why is Lariat so important? You're gonna end all your combos most of the time with Lariat, something like this. And most people will back recover from Lariat and they will go into a corner. So Lariat is very important in all places, but especially in the corner. If you hit a Lariat here on the ground after any combo, not the air Lariat, we're gonna go into that in a few moments, but a regular combo into Lariat like this, if you dash, you'll +5. This is very important. One thing you can do is grab the opponent. SPD, this is meaty, or with Spinebuster. I would recommend Spinebuster so you can keep the corner so they don't escape it. But those are two options you can do with grabs. What can you do if you want to hit the opponent? You are actually +5, so you can use a 6-framer or a 7-framer, basically crouching light punch or hell stab, and continue the pressure. Since you're so close after dash, 2 lights into Lariat will always connect, so don't worry about that. You can loop this situation after dashing. This is obviously very important so you can keep the opponent here guessing in case obviously that the combo is connecting. Now the problem is what happens when they block. Now you have two options over here. You can go into that sequence, which is crouching light kick, standing light punch, so you can be a little far from them and some of their buttons that the opponent uses on wake up are gonna whiff, so you can use that in your advantage. Or you can just stay here and SPD, light SPD. There are other options, especially if they want to jump, because it is pretty common for people to jump Zangief lights because they expect the SPD or the regular grab, so they can either backdash or forward jump, which are the two options that hurt Zangief the most. Neutral jump against Zangief is not a good idea in general, and back jump usually opens up people for Super 1. So people that know the matchup will either backdash or jump forwards. So Ryu's gonna jump, and what we're gonna do is to hit 2 lights, either 2 crouching lights or crouching light kick, crouching light punch, and then hell stab. You're gonna be really close, so if they expect to jump, if they want to jump your setup, then the hell stab will hit them while they're jumping. There. You can react to that hell stab with anything. If you're really, really fast, you can go for supers, but Lariat usually is a great option. If you do the OD Lariat, you will do the classic combo, which is a lot of damage. Now this, again, this is not a frame trap. It's more like a possible setup for someone that actually jumps or backdashes. If you go for this one, the hell stab whiffs. But that doesn't mean you can stop a jump. You can stop someone jumping with a standing medium punch. If they really want to jump between the strings, since this and this, there's a gap between these two buttons on block, and you can use it for something else here. You're +4. You're +4, so you can frame trap your opponent with crouching light punch, crouching light kick. It's gonna be a combo. You're not gonna get much out of a crouching light kick. This is all great and all, but what happens if the opponent knows the matchup and decides to just block everything? You can walk back, give a little of space to the opponent to see if they want to throw a button. The main idea here is to hit them with Lariats. We're gonna go into grabs a little bit later, but every time you grab the opponent with SPD, you're losing your turn. You have to get in again. So hopefully you will want to use Lariat for almost all of your combos in the corner so you can keep the Oki going. I would recommend to wait to see what the opponent does. Some people like to drive impact, some people like to jump forwards. So stand your ground, use your spacing to let the opponent know that you're not gonna get away and you want to actually threaten them. You can even walk SPD if you have the ability to do so. It's not that hard. You can do it very easily if you want to, if you practice it. And since Zangief's buttons are, even though they're weak to drive impact, they're very good to poke people out of buttons. And you do have options. The thing is, you want to keep them in the corner. And if you see any confirm, it is pretty recommended to go into Lariat so you can keep this going. Or I should say, yeah, if you don't go for the dash, for the +5, you can actually walk headbutt. This is a meaty headbutt. Usually that is +4 on block. With a +6, you have more opportunities to do frame traps. Very important. Even one frame could be used for a super. And if you commit to a button or anything, you're gonna get hit. Also, what happens if they backdash? You can go for this, and that is gonna be -2. So you're not gonna be punishable, but keep that in mind that you're losing your turn if they press a 4 button, a 4 framer, and you press a 4 framer. Obviously, you're gonna lose. Happens with OD Lariat on the ground, even +16, and you can do a headbutt that is always meaty. You're gonna be -1. Usually people press buttons there, so you can use maybe Super 3 to catch people from pressing buttons because they expect that to be -4. You can use knee to be only +4 and try to go for a grab. Now, you do have to be careful about how the opponent uses parries. Parry is actually pretty strong against meaties in this game because most of the time meaties are perfect in terms of frames. So they can just parry on wake up and they will beat your options. As you can see here, it's a perfect parry. And the only way of actually beating parry in this game is to grab. So you have to mix your options over here. Now what happens when you hit people with Lariat but in the air? So it's not gonna be the same. You're +7. If you try to go for a grab, in this case, you're gonna whiff your grab, either SPD or regular grab. So you have to delay it or use those 7 frames for something else. You can be creative here. You can use a standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, which is 8 frames. So it is basically a frame trap. Again, the same things apply. They can wake up with forward jump, backdash, or parry. So keep that in mind. You're +13. Again, same things apply. You can go for headbutt with 13 frames. I wouldn't recommend going for knee, but you can use dash, walk, headbutt, dash, walk, crouching medium punch. With OD Lariat, things change a little bit, but most of the time you're not gonna use OD Lariat in this way unless you're going to go for OD Borscht Dynamite. So this is not something that is going to happen. But if you really want to know, you do have different Oki, obviously, with OD Lariat. You can actually whiff crouching medium punch, and that gives you the perfect timing for OD Borscht. Lariat always gives you Oki in the corner. Keep that in mind. So you can do whatever you want with those 5 frames. Just be careful with when the opponent goes for backdashing, or obviously waking up with things, with reversals, or forward jump. So you need to mix your options. That is Lariat. Remember that any crouching light button into standing light punch has a 2 frame gap. So how do you make them with a button? The best option is to go into, at some point, standing light punch. Again, like we mentioned in, I think, another video. If you do this, you have the perfect spacing to react to a jump or a button. Crouching medium kicks will whiff at this range, especially if you do a little walk back, and you can punish the recovery of a crouching medium kick with headbutt. Keep that in mind too. Again, you need to be close to your opponent, so you can either standing medium punch very carefully or pressure people with crouching light punch, which is very good range, 6 framer though, so be careful about that. Or you can use walk, crouching light kick, which is -3, so most of the time you will want to go for this. So don't be too scared about people that like blocking and going for a crazy lock hold drive impact. You have enough time to react. So you can go for this, just wait. If they go for the drive impact, just press your own and you're gonna beat them. Be careful again with standing medium punch or any of the kicks, because all of them lose clean to drive impacts. So what is the recommended way of pressuring the opponent here? With light buttons. Don't go too loco with standing medium punch. Do use it, because again, as we saw in another video, this kinda moves Zangief's hurt box to the back after a few buttons, just to check the opponent if they want to press anything. But your main tools here are standing medium punch, standing light punch, and your crouching light. Especially standing light punch, because the spacing is so good. You're gonna make people are gonna whiff. That is 100% the case. They are gonna whiff, and you have enough time to react. You're +2. If you want to go for headbutt, just be careful, because I've seen a lot of people going for this, and this has a gap, 2-frame gap. Remember what I said? If you leave 1 or 2 frames and someone is smashing something, you're gonna eat it. So you have to mix it up, or even the classic headbutt into grabs. Now, if you decide to wait here and they forward jump, you're gonna probably have to use parry to catch the cross up, because you're not gonna have enough time to react with Lariat. This is very hard to do. You can do a cross up OD Lariat most of the time, but this is very hard, and if you whiff it, you're gonna die. Remember, in order to position yourself at a distance where you can react to a jump, 2 lights is enough, or 3 lights 2. And if you want to have a little more space, remember that this crouching light kick into standing light punch is a great tool to be still in a decent range against the opponent, and you can also react to jumps. Basically, if you're here, most of the time a jump in will be a cross up and you won't be able to react. Over here, you're fine. You're gonna hit them. I wouldn't recommend going into drive rushes at this point in time if you have them corners, because they can't escape anywhere. They need to jump or backdash or wake up with something. So keep that in mind. But if you really want to keep the opponent guessing with plus frames, you can use maybe headbutt, which is a +4, or a drive rush that has no gap, like headbutt, standing medium punch. You're gonna be +2 right next to them, or you can use a standing light kick into crouching light kick to have plus frames. When the opponent is in the corner, they're hyper focused on defense, so they want to escape by jumping, pressing buttons, you know, the classics, everything that we mentioned. And you have to keep that in mind, that the opponent in the corner is more likely to wake up with Shoryuken, with supers or anything, because they need to escape the corner somehow. So keep that in mind when you're leaving gaps between your strings in any way, because they could be matching a Shoryuken. Drive reversal is pretty strong against headbutt. So for those people that really love drive reversal, using drive reversals like Dalsim, Dalsim players love that, use lights. You can block the drive reversal and you can grab them with SPD, or you punish them with crouching medium punch, because drive reversal is -8 on block. So you can go for this if you decide to go for a combo, or just SPD. Usually OD SPD, Super 3. This is extra to buttons, but if for some reason people wake up with Shoryuken or with a reversal, in the corner you have some very specific options with classic Zangief. These are not gonna be applied to modern Zangief. You know, the classic. That is a lot of damage. Some Shoryukens, some reversals in this game work very weird when they're recovering, so you might need to walk back before wheel kick. Usually DJ, flash kick. Those are the two that I think, or even Yuri sometimes. For those, you might need to walk back and then do wheel kick in order for the wheel kick to connect. The other one that I actually recommend if you don't want to spend any meter. So that is a lot of damage for no meter. If you want to use it, you can use ODSPD, pretty strong too. If you're close to the corner, you don't have to dash. I recommend getting used to the dash. So you hit them all the time. So get used to dashing and then Super 3. That is a stupidly amount of damage for just using Super 3 from another button. instead of going for the classic, you know, standing hard kick, because as you can see, it's only 2,960 damage compared to what? 4,300 with the strong SPD, so the damage is huge. Thing is, you obviously need to get in again, so you might need to use Drive Rush and try to make the opponent guess a button. So that is something that will happen, but I do recommend using, in this case, for this specific combo, SPD, because the damage is just too high. Just remember that this is 16 frames, and you don't need to wait for them to get on the ground. You can hit them slightly in the air and you can still do one of these combos. You can also do OD Siberian Express or Siberian Express, the regular version of Siberian Express, but I think SPD is just way too strong. You hit people over here, you need to dash. If you are really close when they wake up with anything, then you can just do it right next to them. If they just block, you're gonna take a bunch of dry gauge if they decide to not do anything. So keep that in mind. When they're blocking, you're actually winning. It might not seem like it, but you're winning because you're taking away the possibility of an OD reversal. Now, there's only one grab that I truly recommend in this case, and it's gonna sound like I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it is Spinebuster. There we go, +5. So you can loop your grabs. You can loop this thing forever if they wake up with parries or punches, because this is a melee. There we go, +11. And you can also use crouching medium kick to be +4. Now you're in range for SPD, but you're not in range for your combo into Lariat from lights. So don't worry about that. If they wake up with backdash, see, you're -2. If you do it perfectly, -2. Be careful, obviously, they can try to grab you, so be very, very wary if they want to throw you into the corner. If you want to use buttons, remember, you can use all the lights we mentioned, headbutt, if you really want to. You can even use a micro walk, and then headbutt to do a meaty headbutt. And the same things apply. They can wake up with backdash, forward jump, reversals, or parry. The only option to beat parry is grabs. So you need to threaten your opponent with grabs to let them know that you're not scared. You are willing to grab them. In case you need to use a button, here, you're not in range for SPD, but you're in range to whiff punish and react to jumps. Now, if you really want to keep the throwing happening, you can use just one light, walk, and Spinebuster. Or you can just walk and time your crouching light punch, a very delayed crouching light punch. Now, why crouching light punch? Because you're +1, you don't move that far, so you can use this. Into throw, it's not a true frame trap. When you're inside the head of the opponent in the corner, they tend to make mistakes, so probably you will be able to do this. You need to mix all of this information so the opponent is guessing all the time. Zangief is very weak to backdash and forward jump. So my advice is, if you take someone to the corner, test them. Test them with grabs first, not buttons. And you might be asking, why not buttons? Most of the time, people will wake up with parry. And that is the reality, because waking up with parry is very strong in this game. Sometimes you get a perfect parry without actually wanting you to do one. So that is pretty strong. So in that case, threaten them with Spinebuster first. And after maybe 2 throws, then start testing them with maybe Hell Stab, Lights, to see what they do. If you know they want to press buttons, you'll get a counter hit Spinebuster. And if they woke up with a parry, you're gonna get a punish counter Spinebuster. So those 2 options will tell you what kind of tendencies the opponent has in the corner. You can build up the rest of your pressure around those. Like, if you hit someone with an Oki and you get a counter hit, it means that they woke up with a button. If you get a punish counter, it means that they used parry. So keep that in mind when you're setting up all of these options. But this is more or less how you want to build your offensive when people are... Remember, you have driving impact if you really want to go for that one, because Zangief is a high risk, low reward kind of character. So you might want to reduce the risk with lights. That's why we use lights so much with this character. Around those, you can build up your offensive. So I hope this helps. If you have any ideas, hit me up. Remember, I'm streaming. Have a great day and keep playing grapplers because they're fun. See you next time.